Good morning, or good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our Self-Care Isn't Selfish panel today. And you heard that right. We're really here to kind of debunk the myth that it's selfish, right, to take care of yourself and continue with our September kind of self-care theme, all leading to the self-love that we're all going after, really making self-care a habit and not something that's an afterthought. Will drastically really change the way that you love yourself. And when you know you're filling in your own love tank, right? So I have some amazing panelists today that I know have all mastered the self-care or constantly working on the self-care, right? It's a daily process, and I'm so fortunate to have them here. But most of us have heard about self-care. We know it's important, and we may even know a few things that we should do for self-care. But one of the things that we go kind of over and over as women especially is, how do I fit it into my schedule? How do I fit self-care into a jam-packed day? And, I feel so selfish when I take a few minutes for myself just to practice self-care. And we have that doubt all the time. So I really want to, let you guys know you're not alone. If you're asking yourself the same question, many of us tend to prioritize our day by duties and a to-do list, and it has an order, and there's never self-care on it. Self-care falls at the bottom. So how do we incorporate self-care in our to-do list, into our everyday? So we're constantly making it our lowest priority, and so it never gets done. So, why is it always the last on your list? And we're going to find out from these ladies on how they have implemented self-care into their daily routine. They're all very successful, super busy women. And if they can do it, I promise you, it's super simple steps that they're going to give you guys some takeaways on how to really start taking care of yourself and making a priority. So I'm going to give you ladies a chance to introduce yourself. I'll start with Nuria, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name's Nuria Rivera. I am Amanda's sister, really.
Yeah.
Definitely soul sisters. No, I am a title company owner of Novation Title in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I've had my company for about 5 years. I love self-development, and I love to be a good example for other people to know that they can also reach the dreams that they want in life.
Awesome. Thanks, Nuria. Lorena, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Okay, I just had to unmute. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Lorena Cardama. I'm adding Ramos to that to make my husband happy. I'm a mom of 6 children. I 2 bonus kids and then 2 sets of twins, 13 and 4-year-old twins. I'm also an attorney and a realtor through EXP. And I think that self-care is necessary above everything in order to be able to balance as many people in my house and what I call soul-sucking career being a family law attorney, because it's not easy. You have to maintain your inner peace one way or another, and that's probably the best thing that I have been able to balance with that is self-care. But I am also a huge I love self-development, reading books, and anything that has to do with making yourself better, I'm all in for it.
Awesome. Thank you, Lorena. Mm-hmm. And Meg, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Yep. Hi, everybody. My name is Meg Wittman, and I'm the owner of Neat Method Orlando. So Neat Method's actually a national company. We have, I think, 60 markets now all across America and Canada. So we're the largest organizing company in the whole world, I think. I think that's fair to say. And I've owned my business for 4 years now. So it's locally owned. I'm a businesswoman. I am Neat Method. I have a team that works with me as well, but it all kind of falls on my shoulders. So my business is serving others. I'm the youngest of 4, so I've always served others. So self-care is actually a new thing that I've adopted probably since I turned 30. So I'm still fairly kind of new to it, but I realize now more than ever, it's just so vital. I'm constantly preaching it to my clients. So now it's time that I actually listen to my own advice. So I'm big into self-care, and I'm so grateful to be on the panel.
Awesome. Thanks, Meg. And Meg did my closet. If any of you guys saw it on my Facebook page, when I reorganized my closet, her team did it. They did an incredible job. But I think we forget that things like organization and getting your life organized, putting things neat in place, make you just feel good. And that's part of self-care. So I'm so happy to have you. And last but not least, of course.
Hello, guys. So I'm Cheniere. I am a realtor with a small brokerage that my husband owns. I also have a transaction management company, and I also have like a nonprofit that helps shelter animals. I'm a mom of two, and I'm also a dog mom of two. My biggest is like 100 pounds. He's huge. He's my baby boy. But I think self-care is super important, especially as a mother, as a wife, as just as a friend, and a woman. It's for us to give our best to the people that we love. It's important for us to take care of ourselves as well. And especially this year that I've started a lot of new ventures, it was really important for me that one of the things I took care of was myself. I felt like I invested a lot of time in making sure everybody was good. And this year I've really focused on just giving myself some time, and it's shown. I've had the most success this year. So super important. I'm super excited to talk about this in particular to everyone. And I hope whoever listens, if they haven't, that they start practicing that, because it's really is life-changing. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Thank you so much for that. So ladies, I want to ask, again, just getting that guilt out of your head and talking about if someone says, you want to take some time to yourself, right? Even Lorena being, a mom of six, right? How do you deal with someone thinking that you're being selfish by taking some time? Lorena, I'll start with you.
Well, other people's views of me don't really impact me very much. But
That's self-care tip number one, right?
Yeah, like don't care what other people say. They're gonna talk, whether good or bad. They're always going to talk.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's definitely number one. Don't run your life based on what other people's opinion of you should be. But to be perfectly frank, the guilt doesn't go away. Just because you're actually doing things for yourself doesn't mean you're not carrying internal guilt. What we don't need is third parties trying to remind us that what we're doing is someone wrong or right in their views. Every time I go out, I still feel guilty. Like if I'm getting my nails done and my kids are at home, there's that internal like, oh, you should have brought them with you. Or like, what are they doing? Are they bored? Like,
Mm-hmm.
Or ask my husband, like I call him all the time. I'm like, what are you doing? If I'm out on my own, because the guilt's there. But it's about taking action despite the guilt. I mean, that's an internal struggle you're gonna have to deal with. But if you give into it, then you're gonna stuck in the same routine. But it's moving past that. It's just like moving past your fear of anything that you're doing, right? Guilt is not a fear, it's just an internal dialogue. But if you're fearful of taking the next step in your business, if you're fearful in, getting married, or you're fearful in jumping off a bridge or something like that, bungee jumping, it's taking that step regardless of what the fear is. And it's the same situation with guilt. It's doing it for yourself because the reward is so much bigger than that moment of guilt that you're going to be feeling while you're doing it. And then you come back and you're refreshed and you're so much better to serve them when you're home.
Yeah, I love that. Nuria, how about you? Why is self-care so important? And, what do you kind of combat with that selfish, like guilt, like dialogue?
I'm not a mom yet, and I want to be one day, so my hat's off to all the moms out there, because sometimes I don't know how you do it. I watch you and I'm so impressed and inspired by all of you moms. So shout out to you. I think for me, realizing that at one point in my life, I was really running the rat race and hitting big goals and making a lot of money. And trust me, I still do all of that. But there was just this defining moment in my life where I realized that there was a lot more purpose to life than just the business and the work. And I found a deeper purpose, and I think that's when I really shifted and started my spiritual journey as well, which I've really been invested in for the past 5 years, but more so the past 3, I would say. And with understanding that self-care and you always choosing yourself first is actually the only way to be. Because just like Lorena said, if you're not taking care of yourself first, how do you show up as a better mom? How do you show up as a better leader? How do you show up as a better daughter, friend? If you're running on your low battery, you're literally surviving. And we all know that survival mode is not a place to thrive in life in, right? So like Tony Robbins says, put the mask on yourself first before you can help other people put the mask on themselves. And so we have this, like, I think it's just not true. It's almost like we've been taught this lie that society created like many years ago of, oh, you're selfish because of this. Like, you can't take care of yourself. And we as women are very nurturing, and we kind of default to that, taking care of everyone. But that's not the truth. I think the truth is this: if you don't take care of yourself first, you're not going to be able to show up at the highest levels for everyone else. So let's start shifting the story and like get rid of something that is not true.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a good message. Meg, what about from you? Any triggers of that doubt that you're, being selfish, and anything that you use to combat that?
Yeah, I mean, I think in general, it took me, 30 years of my life to actually start self-care because it felt selfish. I've always lived my life for others. Being the youngest of four, I never got to choose where we went to the restaurant, or I always got hand-me-down clothes. I was never kind of in charge, which I'm cool with. Like, I'm still pretty chill. I can kind of go with the flow. But at a certain point, just like Nuria said, like, you got to put your mask on first. I also love, you can't pour from an empty cup. Like, if I'm just completely at my wit's end and I'm frustrated and all of this, I can't possibly be a good girlfriend, be a good sister, be a good aunt. All of that just completely goes out the window. So you're kind of like helping your future self be what you want to be. So you're not, I try to like think of it as, it's not self-care, because for some reason that's hard for me, but it's like future self-care. I'm helping future Meg, and that's not me right now. That's future Meg. So if I'm helping someone else who happens to be me, it's just kind of that mindset. And also, you would say the same thing to a friend, like calm down, like you're doing too much. Like, please treat yourself like your own best friend, and realize that you need to be good, and you need to be centered, and you need to find what's important to you. And then once kind of all of that's somewhat in place, you're better to serve others. And it takes practice, just like any skill, just like working out. You can't do it once, done. I took a bath, done. It's a constant practice. It's a constant every day finding something new that really fills your soul. So it's not one and done. It takes work.
Yeah, definitely. I love that message. Shanyr, from you, anything that you can, give a message to the viewers on how you kind of combat it not being a selfish thing, that it is something that should be a priority?
Yeah, kind of piggybacking off of everybody, I had to kind of switch gears and say, okay, I think it's more selfish to not do it and to not take care of myself than to just do it, and it is an active thought. Like, it's an everyday thing that you have to remind yourself, because I had to start telling myself it's more selfish for me to just think of everybody and just not feel good at the end of the day, feel exhausted, or feel irritable, easily triggered, things like that. Because I didn't take some time to get my nails done, or even like not even spending money, just take a walk around the neighborhood just by yourself, just breathe. At night after tucking in the girls, put on Friends with a glass of wine, like little things like that is me time, and I respect it. And I had, again, just, piggybacking, it's more selfish to not take care of yourself and then not be the best version of yourself to your family than to just take some time to yourself and then actually enjoy and be more present when you are with your family and your loved ones. So.
Yes, definitely. I love that message. And we'll get into that here in a little bit. I think a lot of times we think that self-care has to do with money, right? Spending money, getting your nails done or your hair done or all that stuff. But it can be something so simple as just meditating or doing something for a couple of minutes for yourself and just being with your own thoughts. So we'll get to that in a little bit. But really, it's no surprise that we all neglect our own self-care, right? It took Meg 30 years to find it. Definitely took me that long. I've always been a giver, the third of four children. So always been a giver. So you're going to get that selfish trigger. But, symptoms of the need for self-care are going to be overwhelm, right? Impatience, like difficulty falling asleep. You have really low energy, and the consequences are so much worse. So can you guys tell me really what led you into a self-care journey? Did you have a moment where you realized these symptoms or something that triggered you? A lot of people that are listening may not have ever done anything self-care. And could it be something that they can kind of self-actualize and see what's happening within them that might have happened for you? Shanyr, I'll start with you first. We'll go back around.
So what really triggered it for me, I'm a girl mom, so I've got 2 girls. And it was just coming to the realization that, one day my girls are going to be women. They may be mothers. They're going to have a partner in life. And I don't want them to grow up thinking that they have to live their life just taking care of everybody else, especially like in the culture that I grew up with, in the Hispanic culture. The woman is the one that takes care of the house, has to clean everything, cook everything, do everything. Just pretty much their life is based on everybody else. And I didn't want that. So that was really my triggering point was, okay, I have 2 girls that are watching my every move. What kind of woman am I portraying to them? I always tell them like to be like Wonder Woman or Captain Marvel, things like that, to empower them. But their first line of example is me, so I need to also embody that. I need to tell myself too that I am this superhero for them. And how do I do that? Well, I need to take care of myself too, to be that for them. So that was really my changing point that switched everything, was looking at my girls and being like, okay, I need to be my best version. And how do I do that? I need to start taking care of myself, mentally, physically, emotionally, and then provide that, be a better mom for them.
I love that message. What a great message. And again, talking about taking care of yourself emotionally, mentally, physically, all those things. And whether you have children or not, like the little ones are always watching, right? You always inspire somebody at some point, and somebody that's looking up to you. So that's amazing. I love that message. Meg, from you, anything that triggered you or really got you started on this self-care journey? Because it sounds like you haven't been on it too long. Actually, I might go on to Nuria. She looks like she might be frozen. Nuria. Oh, there she is. Meg.
Sorry, my cropped out of that moment. It took me 30 years to get on this train. And I think like right when I went to college, I remember thinking, oh my gosh, there's no rules. Like I can eat whatever I want. I can stay up as late as I want. And that pretty much continued until I was 30. Like I would just do whatever. But then if I drank too much, then I'd feel hungover. Like I started to realize that all my actions had consequences. For some reason that was not normal for me, or I didn't realize it. And I was always just kind of flying by the seat of my pants in a way. I'm a very organized person in my career and in my passions, but everyday life, I was like, it'll work out. But for a certain point, like it won't just work out. Just like organizing won't happen if you don't do it. Like you're not going to wake up like, oh, wow, my clothes folded themselves. That's just not realistic. So I realized, I need to like start putting down the foundation for this right now. I can't hope in the future that I'll have self-care covered if I don't start practicing now. So when I turned 30, I was like, okay, it's important to start living for the future now, but it's also, I want to enjoy life now. I don't want to be, like you said, tired and anxious and worried and triggered. And I don't want to resent the people around me because I don't have time to take care of myself. It's not their fault. It's mine. If I make it a priority, then I can actually enjoy my time with everyone else and not be too stressed out. So it really, I started to practice kind of what I preach to my clients. And I was 3 years into my business at 30, and I was like, okay, I've done the hustle. Now it's time to really sow the seeds and reap the benefits of that. So I started that just about a year ago.
Awesome. I love that. Lorena, from you, any sort of trigger or something where you were like, something's got to give, and, I need to really start taking care of myself more?
So I think that every step of your self-care journey has its own individualized story. Like I won't go through every little one, but like for me personally, I'm such a high achiever and always have been super high achiever. So you're always on the go, right? It was like, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. So I like did everything possible. I graduated high school 16. I graduated college at 20. I was a lawyer by 23, a mom of twins by 24. Like, so it's like boom, 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 boom. And you don't give yourself room for any of that. So then what happened to me is that I just became like an anxiety ball, right? Everything was anxious. Everything had to be perfect. Everything had to be done right. Which in order for me to do that, I had like self checklists in my head of things I had to take care of for everybody else, like my kids. It was a constant checklist for them. And I would say it out loud. And then I realized that my kids were doing that too. So it was like, oh, clean kitchen, put shoes on, go outside. And they would repeat every step as I was doing. I'm like, oh crap, I'm doing that to them, right? And I realized that I guess I felt like I was a martyr, and that was the way it was supposed to be, because you're a mom and you're a business owner and everything and everybody's supposed to come before you. But all I was doing was creating anxiety in my world because I never stopped for myself. And then by the time I did, it was so late, I was tired that I would just go to sleep. So, I gained weight, unnecessary weight. I felt, I don't want to say angry because I'm not an angry person, but like there was times that I felt like I wasn't getting the recognition that I wanted. And I almost like threw that back in people's face. Like, well, did you know everything I did? Did you see everything I did? While you're sitting there taking care of yourself, I'm over here taking care of everybody else. And I realized that that's not their fault. It was my fault, because I should be taking care of myself too. I shouldn't hold it against them for taking actions that I prevented to do it myself. So every journey for me was different. Like I stopped cleaning up the toys for my kids and let them handle it so that I can take a bath, right? Or I decided that I'm going to lose weight, and this was a couple years ago, and I've since lost over 30 pounds. And it's like I made a priority that I was going to be in my garage to work out at a specific time every single day. The babies were asleep. Great. They weren't asleep. Somebody else is going to put them to sleep because it's my time. And when you start taking control of your own time and make sure that everybody acknowledges it, then everybody's going to work with you for it. So it wasn't if I constantly put my babies to sleep by myself at 7 o'clock, for example, and I never expected anything from anybody else, and that's what's going to happen. And I keep pushing myself later and later and later. But when I was like, oh, it's 7:30, I got to work out. Babies are awake. Gil, take care of it. Or the girls take care of it. Everybody knows. So it's about setting standards for yourself, making sure everybody is aware of those standards and are on the same page with you, and not letting yourself push back. Because at the end of the day, if you don't do it, that falls on you. That's nobody else's fault in the house that you didn't take care of yourself. Right. That's your own fault. And I think that's when I started realizing that I needed to take control for myself, because I started getting remorse, like not remorse. I don't want to use the word jealous, but I guess jealous is a good word for lack of a better word. I was jealous that other people were doing things I wasn't doing, like watching TV or playing Xbox or whatever, right? So I just took control of my own life. That's how I handled it.
I love that. I feel like so many people can relate to that, right? When you're busy and you're growing a business, and Meg was just saying about that first 3 years of hustle, you do kind of have that like, oh my gosh, they have so much time to watch TV. And they're like, well, okay, what series are you watching? You're like, I have no idea. I haven't turned my TV on in 2 years. So there is that moment, but you have to find what brings you joy, right? And it's not necessarily sitting down and watching TV all the time either. Right. So Nuria, from you, anything that triggered you? And it sounds like you found it right before you opened your business. So perfect timing to find that self-care journey.
Yeah, I think I just realized that I was the biggest asset of my business. And if you really think about that, if you're not feeling well, if you get sick, if you can't be healthy in all the way, starting with your mental health in your body, because everything that is going on the inside is a reflection on the outside. And so if you're not feeling well, and I realized, okay, so if I don't feel good and I'm in the grind and I'm hustling, and, I have been since I was like in middle school, and, but I'm like, do I really need to grind and hustle like my whole life, like at this level of stress and I'm hardly eating. I hardly can like run to the restroom because I don't have enough time in the day, and the day is running me, and I'm working till midnight, waking up at 7 days a week, like crazy exhaustion, which I'm sure all of you ladies have experienced at one point or another. And I get that that's what it takes a lot, you know, when you really want and desire something. But I just found myself like realizing that if I don't take care of myself, since I am the biggest asset for my business, then everything else will be doomed. So then I'm like, oh, actually, then I do need to start taking care of myself. I need to exercise. So then I started like, I've been running for a few years now, but I started really like doing it more. I started researching more. I really love like studying. And so for me, that's like that is self-care for me, is making time and space for me to learn and grow. That's very important for me. And so through that, I just realized like, this is all backwards. And then I would see my family in Europe. I have family in Spain, and Europeans, they don't work to live. They live. I'm sorry. They don't live their lives just to work. And here in the United States, we do that. They just work to be able to live their lives. And I just thought, man, there's just something about the system that just doesn't make sense, you know? So I'm like, I need to enjoy life. And if we're not enjoying the journey, and like how people say it's smelling the flowers, or enjoying nature and beauty around us and all the areas of life in our family. And then you look at like the biggest regrets of the people on their deathbeds, right? And you see what they regretted were a lot of things that I'm like, I don't want to have those when I'm on my deathbed. Like, I want to be able to enjoy life. I want to, you know, have traveled. I want to have, you know, like developed my artistic side if I wanted to. And so I think that's when it really shifted for me, knowing I was that asset. And I also wanted to live my life to the fullest in all the areas, not just business.
Yeah, I love that. Kind of what Meg said earlier, it looks like you live it really for that future self too. Like, you want to look back and know that you did everything you could to live the best life possible. So kind of going into that, Nuria, too, like, you're a CEO running a massive title company, my soul sister out in Salt Lake City. But you have always been so incredible at being in touch with nature specifically. If you guys follow Nuria on social media, she's a runner. She loves the beach. Like, anywhere she can find to be outside, she's outside and definitely taking advantage of it. And you work so hard at that self-care, and your self-care really centers around that, being outside and just moving, right? I think a lot of us think that working out, you have to have this hardcore exercise, and that's what it means to be, you know, physically fit and take care of yourself. Well, it can just be moving your body for 10, 15 minutes. Give us some examples of how you really seek self-care, even being outside and being present.
Yeah, nature has always just brought me so much serenity. That's my place of peace, and that's where I feel I connect to my higher power. It's very meditative for me, and I'm, like I mentioned earlier, I'm very spiritual, and so you know, my meditation in nature just is like nothing else. And so yeah, being outside for me, and I think that's a part of the reason why I love to travel the world and see different cultures. And I've always been super obsessed with traveling and seeing what's out there, and viewing life differently, and different sceneries and different types of nature. And so I'm fascinated by it. I think it's so beautiful. And I think that actually nature really teaches us a lot, you know. And right now I'm outside here in LA, and you know, there's birds. Like, I can hear the birds, and I'm seeing squirrels, and it just reminds me that I'm so small in this huge world and universe. And the ocean does that for me too. That's why I love the ocean so much, because I can sit there and just watch it and be. And I'm like, man, I'm so small. I'm like a speck of like stardust in this galaxy, you know? And so my problems are just not big. There's so much more to life. There's just so much more like explosion of so many other things, like so many other people, so many, just so much more. And so it just makes me get centered and grounded and puts things into perspective for me.
Sure. So it's just, going outside and just being with your own thoughts. I think we were all kind of forced to do that during quarantine, and we would see a lot of the messages of people just taking a walk around your neighborhood and just realizing so many things going on around you that you had no idea were happening. Those are all forms of really great mental self-care. So I love, you guys need to follow Nuria for sure on social media. She was queen of that.
I have to say, just real quick, like, anytime that you guys are having a really stressful day, seriously, do this. Just go outside for 5 minutes. I promise you that in 5 minutes, nothing's going to happen. Like, with that big fire you're putting out, I promise it's not going to be that big of a difference. Go outside and just stare at the sky for like a few minutes. Just literally stare at the sky. Like, when was the last time you sat there and watched the clouds and just stared, and I promise that you'll feel a lot better.
I love that. Thanks, Nuria. Lorena, you're queen of self-care. Again, just a super successful career woman, 6 kids, 2 sets of twins. You were a single mom for quite some time too, right? So when I think of you, you truly hit that. How does she possibly do it? How does she have time to take care of herself? For some more working moms out there, can you give us more examples on how others can really seek that self-care, even when they have a family relying on them? Any examples for large families or working moms? I know you just said like having that set time to work out. Anything else you can give would be amazing.
Yeah. I think one of the major things that works for me is routines. My husband will tell you that I'm half Nazi on like routines need to be stuck to, right? Because routines are important not only for yourself, but they're important for your kids and your family. Originally, when I had the girls by myself, they're 13 now. If I didn't have a routine, they would walk all over me. So, and now with the babies, bedtime is 7 o'clock. I don't move from there. 7:30, and we're pushing it, right? Because anything past that interferes with me time, and me time is very important. And they love structure. And I've seen a lot of families, and I'm not judging anybody. Whatever works in your home works in your home. I'm not here to judge anybody, but I'm telling you what works for me is that if you don't have structured bedtimes, or you don't have structured activity times, it's 10 o'clock at night and your 4-year-old still running all over your room and all over your bed. You're not giving yourself that time to unwind and break down. So when people are like, how do you put your babies to bed so early? I'm like, well, they wake up at 6:30. That's 12 hours of being awake. Like, putting them to bed at 7 is reasonable. If I put them to bed at 7, at 7:30, I'm working out. At 8, I'm eating dinner. And by 9, it's everybody go to your room. It's me. Like, I do me now, whatever I decide to do. And then with that also, because we have a big family, it's a union. Don't expect that you have to do everything because you have children. Everybody has to help here. Everybody has responsibilities in this house. If I'm cooking dinner and one of the kids is washing dishes, my husband's helping me with the kids, or the older child's taking out the garbage, someone's putting away dishes. You have to teach them responsibilities, and that's my dog who's likely going to bark. It's just her responsibility to be a guard dog. But so it's everybody has things to do, and they're not always going to like it, and your kids are going to roll their eyes at you and they're like, oh, you're asking me to do that again. And it's like, yes, I am asking you to do that again. So it's about having routines in the house. Everybody understands their roles, and everybody is responsible for their roles. And when you do that, it allows everybody to have me time, not just me, not just my husband, not just my children. If everybody is on the same page and they know that by 8 o'clock, go watch whatever show you want to watch in your room, go play the Xbox, go do whatever while I'm doing me. And my kids know sometimes they'll come into my room and they're like, I'm sorry, I know it's your time, I just have a question.
I love that.
And it's like, yeah, okay, and sometimes I'll trade my me time to have quality time with them, and that's a decision that you get to make for yourself. It's not a decision that they're making for you because you have no structure in your home. So if you have, a large family, routine, structure, and standards, those are the 3 things that I will tell you need to have.
Oh my gosh, that is an incredible message. So, and starting so young, right? So again, that routine, it's a habit for your family now. They all know that they have to pitch in and help and do something. I think all of us as moms want to do everything for our kids all the time, and we want to make their lives as easy as possible. But now is really time for us to take charge and do it for ourselves too. And it's twofold, right? It works for the whole family in general.
Exactly.
Meg, with you, we have this whole new wave of the home edit on HGTV, which I know a lot of people are watching. And this is basically what your business model is, right? It's so instrumental in helping people feel a sense of normalcy just by getting organized, right? The psychological effects of home organization is truly incredible. I know the minute I walk into my house and there's stuff all over the place, I start feeling very anxious and I need to have everything set in a certain place. And I drive my kids crazy with that. But, give us some reasons why this type of self-care you feel is so important, and any examples, easy things that people can do in the morning or at night to really feel organized.
Yeah, I mean, I think organization is one of the best things you can do for your sanity, your house, everything. I think everyone needs organization, but a lot of people don't prioritize doing it because with what time? So for me, organization is actually a form of self-care because I enjoy it. I'm that weirdo who likes folding clothes. Give me a good laundry day. I'm into it. So for me, that's kind of my meditation. I'm folding clothes and I'm putting it away. The act of crossing something off a to-do list just makes me feel super accomplished. Even if it's wake up, done. It's just those little things of having, Lorena said, routines and systems and knowing what to expect. And just walking into your home again and feeling peace. I want to go into my closet and not feel stressed. I want to go into my pantry and not feel stressed. You're just Nuria said, don't live to work, but also your house should work for you. You shouldn't be working for your house. So you shouldn't have to be picking everything up. It should just kind of work. I always say that my house isn't always perfect. Everyone's like, oh, your house must be amazing. I mean, no, I live in an old rental and it's not amazing all the time. But give me 15 minutes and everything can be put away because everything has a home. So for me, I think the first thing you could start with is decluttering. That kind of sounds scary to people. I'm a wannabe minimalist. I'd say I'm a moderatist at this moment. But avoid needing to make so many decisions. In the morning, either at night, put out your outfit for the morning, or in the morning, plan things out for the day, whether you start with your activewear and then you go into your, work at home attire, which can just be throw on a different top, just depending on what you want to do. So creating systems and creating just an atmosphere that just works for you. We come in and we assess, what we did with Amanda's closet. We'll ask a ton of questions, what do you wear on your day-to-day? How do you use your space? What's working? What's not working? So there's no one size fits all organizing at all. If it makes sense for you to have a coffee machine in your master bathroom, cool, that's a cool idea. If it makes sense to have your vitamins, in your medicine cabinet, because that just makes sense for you, cool. Wherever anything makes sense for your system, create little zones for yourself. Create a coffee zone, create a workout outfit zone. Avoid just so much confusion and so many decisions. Just kind of create little spaces of normalcy for you. And then if you can't do it, just call us and we'll do it for you. So that works.
Yes, that works really well. I did that. But I mean, we all know, when you walk into a closet, you did something so simple, Meg. You were you just need to change, even if you just change all your hangers to the same color, to that black felt, nice looking hanger. And it makes such a difference. And every morning I walk into my closet, I'm so happy. And it really makes you want to keep up with it too, once it's really organized and looks well. So, but yeah, definitely call them because they do an amazing job, and I would have never done it that way myself for sure. But Cheniere, from you as a realtor, you own a transaction management company, and you have this personal charity as well that you're super passionate about. With pets. Can you give us some feedback on kind of how it is attaching a purpose, like you've done with your love for paws, and a form of self-care, right? Giving back and giving to others, and your love for pets and attaching that passion. Kind of give us an example what some people don't realize, that giving can also be a form of self-care as long as you're able to receive it too.
Yeah. So I'm a big believer in what you put out into the universe is exactly what you're going to get back. So if I'm putting out love, positivity, like happiness, that's what I'm going to receive in terms with my family, with my business, just my life in general. So with the animals, like I love dogs, especially, like I have 2, and I just wanted to kind of, okay, I'm having a lot of success now. How can I use my success to now give back, to help others, to make a difference? And it is self-care, because it does make you feel not in like cocky way, like it feel better, but it does make you feel better that, like, holy crap, like I made a difference in someone's life in a positive way. I'm not expecting anything in return, but I do know that just by giving back and helping someone, be better in life, or help someone achieve something, it's my life in general is just gonna give back to me. Like I'm just gonna feel better. So it's really that. I don't know. I believe in that a lot, and that's why I created Love for Pause. But yeah, that's it.
Very good. I love that. I think there's so many people that want to attach a purpose and something behind what they love, and understanding that that is such a form of self-care too, being able to give, but also being able to receive, right? You have to open up and be able to receive that same kind of stuff back. So that spiritual journey is also super important. Lorena, I want to ask you just if you could, one big thing is, you were a single mom for a while with kids, right? And I know how that feels. At the end of the day, there's not a lot of time, but there's also not a lot of money to be able to do self-care things for yourself and get your nails done and do all that stuff. Anyone listening that you kind of think of self-care, the first things you say are get your nails done, get a massage, and everyone thinks that it's money oriented. Can you give us some examples of things that you do that are not money driven?
Yeah, actually, majority of them are not. Actually, I hate getting my nails done. I do it because I like having nails, but I hate the process.
I hate it too. Yeah,
I hate the process of getting nails done. And if I get a massage, it's maybe once or twice a year at most. And that's because someone gave me a gift card. So those are not the things that I run to and actually do. So hi, little man. So most of the things that I do are free. Like to me is going outside in my patio and drinking my coffee outside in the quiet. I love the beach. So I know we're in Central Florida, so no matter where I go, I have to drive like an hour and a half. But just sitting out there in the ocean, I love it. Depending on the season, clearly summer for me, self-care is going outside and tanning and enjoying the weather. During fall, it's just sitting out there, reading a book. During winter, I'll just turn on my fireplace downstairs. I send everybody up. I'm like, everybody go to your rooms, and I will by my fireplace. I'll put a blanket and read whatever book I'm reading at that time in front of the fire with some tea. I enjoy clearly working out. I love working out now. Listening to music. Sometimes it may be just driving around by myself with no phone calls. And some of my friends who are watching this are always like, you don't ever call me back. Listen, that if I have 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes of quiet time in my head, right? So I might be that crazy one, like you'll see driving by singing the music, like, Mark Anthony's In My Car kind of thing. I'll just be jamming. But dancing while I'm cooking, it could be so many different things that I do. But it's not, most of them have nothing to do with money. It's about just centering yourself and what makes you happy and what brings you joy, and I know as a mom, everybody wants to be like, yes, my kids are my happiness. Yes, they are, but they're also your time consuming little things, right? And they're your money consuming little things. So I feel like people think that they're going to be judged if they say something other than their children bring them happiness, and we have to get ourselves outside of that mindset. A lot of people start with the caveats like, oh, the best day of my life outside of when I had children, right? We all have our little caveats. So it's like, yes, my kids are my love. I love them. But quiet time in a house where there's so much talking all the time, it can literally just be sitting in my shower or in my bathtub, like for 15 minutes, right? That's happiness for me. So yeah, you can do so much that has zero expense.
Yeah, I love that. And I love that you said that about nails. I honestly, I hate getting my nails done as well. I think it's just a matter of like not having my hands like tied up for an hour just sitting
Yes.
there. It's always like crazy. But
Yep.
it's just the matter of sometimes we say that because it's the maintenance part, right? So, but it has really nothing to do with self-care. You just enjoy kind of being alone.
Right, exactly.
That's the moment that you enjoy the most. So Nuria, how about from your perspective, anything that you do? Obviously you're big on the nature stuff and just being outside. Any little things you can give or hints to anyone watching?
Yeah, I think the best way I can describe self-care is you're able to do whatever activity you want to really reconnect with yourself. So whatever that looks like for you, that can look in a million different ways. You know, for Meg, it's organizing. For Lorena, it's maybe sitting by the fireplace reading a book. For Cheniere, it could be that she's giving back, you know, through her nonprofit. Amanda, for you, it could be doing some yoga. So the activity isn't quite what's so important. I would say to focus more on, you know, what parts of you have you abandoned from yourself, and how do you reconnect to those? And sometimes self-care can look like having literally a moment to yourself to process your emotions. And self-care does look to, you know, to face yourself sometimes, of like, what is going on within me? Why am I feeling maybe anger at the moment? And anger, what are you trying to tell me? Oh, it means that I need to create better boundaries. Or, you know, oh, you know what, I'm feeling sad right now, and I'm going to sit with this emotion and feel it and process it. So I feel that that's also a part of self-care, is really just reconnecting, listening to our inner selves and trying to figure out what really is going on with us. And then from there, the activities don't matter, you know, because it could be that you need to meditate, that you need to run, that you need to like listen to music and dance like a child. It means that maybe you need to go and sign up for like a paint class that you've always wanted to take. Like the activities can look so differently, but the first most important thing is listen to yourself. What do you really need? And connect to your true self.
Yes, I love that. So not focusing on the activity, but just the self-actualization and being with yourself and what actually does bring me joy. And it can be so simple as just sitting down and reading a book. Or I'm so like Lorena, I don't do phone calls in the car. I like to have the music on. This is me time. And I'm jamming out typically to country music, a little bit different than Mark Anthony, but just finding what you like to do, right? And you look so ridiculous when someone pulls up next to you, but it's totally fine. You're just rolling with it. Meg, how about from you? Any other things you can give that, especially from the organization perspective, you talked about decluttering earlier, things that don't necessarily cost money that you can do so easily that are going to help you out?
Yeah, similarly, I mean, most people think of self-care as you have to add something in. And it's like, where are we going to do that? Where are we going to find the time? That's so stressful. We can also look at it from the other side. So what can I take away? What is something I hate doing every day that doesn't need to get done? Take that away. If you hate making your kids lunches, teach them how to do it themselves. You know, I have my nephew who you just saw, my niece and nephew with me 4 days a week for Aunt Meg's school. And every day at 4:30, they know that's cleanup time. And the faster they clean up, the more time they get to watch Disney. So they know exactly where all the toys go back. They get excited. The little 1.5-year-old like puts something away and then claps for herself. So she gets real pumped. But take away that stress. I don't need to let them leave at 5 and have me do all the cleanup. That would be a very selfless, you know, martyr thing to do. But it's actually better to teach them how to help themselves. And we can also be really good role models for the little ones in our lives, or even, you know, our peers who haven't yet come to a self-care journey. I wish that my mom, you know, took more time for herself when I was growing up so that I could have used her as an example. So I really think it's important to say, okay, now we made the mess together, so all of us can clean it up together. And then, you know, removing any other thing, like what do you hate to do? Are there some emails you hate to send? Automate them, create, you know, a template that you just always send. If someone, you know, oh, do you have any openings? I'm like, sorry, my team's been closed for a while. Like I have a canned response that I send. So just really simplify those things that just bug you. And then you can add in things when you have the time, but it might simply be like, I hate mowing my lawn, so I'm going to hire a lawn person. I hate organizing my house. I'm going to hire an organizer. You can delegate as a way of self-care, because as soon as you delegate, there then becomes space, breathing room, white space around you, whether that's sitting in your car, crying or screaming or singing, or taking a bath. Like, once you remove things, then you have that space. Adding to an already crazy schedule, to me, stresses me out. So I start to remove things first, and then I can add in what I love.
I love that. And something big too that my coach taught me is like, stop adding things to your to-do list all the time, right? We make the most ridiculous long to-do list that we already know we're not going to get done that day, and we're going to end up having to move some stuff to the next day. So I love the fact that you're just like, remove the things that you don't like doing, right? They're going to have to get done somehow, probably, but find a better system. And that is a form of self-care. So Cheniere, from you, anything you can give, any tips or anything as far as stuff that doesn't cost money that you utilize for self-care?
Well, I think everybody pretty much hit it right on the nail. Like delegating, I'm big on that. Like when it comes, especially like in business, I have an assistant that takes care of like the busy desk work, so I'm not stressed at the end of the night, get home to like a whole bunch of unread emails. I think that's super important. Incorporating the kids. I mean, it's not torture for them to wash the dishes or clean their room or help with the house. And if anything, it's good. It's teaching them teamwork, that everybody has to hold their own weight in the house. And it's going to, they're not going to grow up thinking that, everyone has to do something for them. It shows a lot of independence for them and discipline and structure. Mm-hmm. So 100% agree with that. And another big thing is like the things that you can't control at the end of the night, just like, and I love what you said about like going out and maybe just like looking up at the sky and just taking in a breather, because there's certain things that you can't control and you can't let them get to you. And that's one of my biggest things is like, there's so many, for instance, in a real estate transaction, so many things that I have no control over that I have to just kind of, take a breather. If I can, I'm going to do as much as I can that I can control, and what I can't control, just let it be and let it pass. So 100% agree with that. And what Nuria was saying about digging into something that you've lost, and kind of like bringing that back. I just had it happen like recently. I was, and this also didn't cost me a penny. I would always I make sure that I try at least 90% of the time in the evenings to take my daughter to her taekwondo or ballet. And I did taekwondo growing up. And I've been telling myself I need to find time to work out, but I'm not a morning person, so I can't wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning. It's so difficult for me. And then at night, I'm so tired, but I'm like, Cheniere, like, you need to find the time. You need to find the time. And then all of a sudden, one day, I'm just sitting in the class looking at her. It's 6 o'clock, and I'm just like, it kind of just hit me. I'm like, okay, I've been telling myself to find time. I love doing taekwondo. Why am I not just going in there with her? It was already included. So in the membership that we have, so I was like, girl, just go for, like, what are you keeping? What story am I telling myself as to why I can't do these classes? And I just erased those stories and just jumped into class, and I've been doing class with her. And that's also so like empowering together to do it, because it's self-care for myself. It's self-care for her to also let everything out at the end of the day. And it's a bonding time together that we can, on the way back home, we're talking about what we learned, what techniques we can practice on, different things like that. So like everything, yes, 100%. Like it doesn't have to cost you anything. Check out where do you take your kids? Maybe you could join into, take some time, like tuck them into bed at a decent time so you could have an hour or two to yourself at night, and have them join in when it's time to clean up or to take care of the house. If you're doing them a justice, you're doing them good to help you out, because trust me, in the long run, they're going to grow up to be people who help out, who are not entitled and just are better for everything. So 100%.
I love that message. I think everyone on here that has kids touched on that. And I know I drive my boys crazy when I say, but it's going to make you a really great husband one day. And they're like, just roll their eyes.
Yeah.
And that's my favorite thing to say to them. But I just kind of want to wrap up, guys. You've given so many amazing tips, but wanted to give you each a chance just to kind of some last words to anyone watching, some easy way to incorporate this self-care and things that you've done, maybe 1 to 2 action steps, and just kind of a final message of how important it is to you. And I'll start with you, Meg.
So kind of similarly with the getting rid of things, just give yourself a promise that you will get rid of anything that you put on your body that does not serve you. Like if that dress doesn't look good on you, like that's the dress's fault in my mind. So erase it from your closet. Don't be like, I can't fit into that dress and have to go past it. Remove it. If you're on a weight loss journey and you know you will fit into it, put it in another closet. You don't need that nagging you. So get rid of those pieces that are super aspirational that you may or may not ever fit into, or ones that just don't fit your current body. Maybe after kids, your body's just proportions are different. Give those things up either completely and donate them and give them to someone else who could use them more, or just remove them because it's a constant reminder that you're not enough, and that's not true. So remove anything from your life that's annoying or just isn't serving you. Removing clutter, something like go through your kitchen and realize like, what do I need on my counter? Coffee, cool, totally. Blender, if you use it every day, fine. But just go through like, I don't really need this pile of paperwork that always seems to come here. Like, let's create a box and just put it in the box. Like, create space that just really, really serves you, and remove things that just don't. It's your house, it's your life. You're in control of what's around you. So remove things that just give you a pain.
Love that. Those are so simple to do too. And I know I'm a big proponent of if I want to buy something new, I get rid of 5 things in my closet. So I have a promise to myself, if I get a new shirt, I have to get rid of 5. And mostly it's because Meg will kill me if I shove anything else into my closet. But if you kind of make yourself a promise to, those little things will really help you. Nuria, any action steps, quick things that people can do to really make self-care a habit, and any final words from you?
Yeah, so if you want more space, more time, you really need to create more space. And how you create more space, and a tool that I give to many people is if you want to take a sheet of paper and just, write a line down the middle. On the left-hand side, write all of the tasks that you do throughout the day, and figure out what you are worth per hour in the marketplace. So however much money you make in 1 hour, if there is a task that's on the left on that list that you just wrote down, that is like, if you paid someone to do it and it's less than what you make per hour, you should be delegating that. And so I want you guys to start all of the tasks that you could pay someone way less money than what you're worth per hour to do. And anything that you don't really enjoy doing, and anything that you're not really good at. So from that list, start writing those things on the right-hand side. And you either just created a new job description for someone, or you know how to hire everything else out. I've learned that for me to really scale the way I've been able to and live the lifestyle that I'm living, I really had to let go of many things. And like Meg said, and all of us have mentioned that control part, and we're in business, right? So we really love the control and the guys, you have to let go of control. You have to trust in people, and you have to trust in their gifts, that they're able to bring something awesome into your business. So that's my quick little tip. And it should be very helpful for everyone to create space so that you can do more of the things to take care of you.
Love that message. I love that exercise too. And any real estate agents that are watching and they're like, breaking that down, Cheniere owns a transaction management company. I know that half of those tasks are stuff you can probably utilize with a transaction coordinator. But going to Cheniere, anything from your perspective, any final words or action items that you can give our audience?
I think one of the biggest things that we can do to help ourselves is just talk to someone. Of course, there's a lot, but I think it's very important to talk about it, whether it's good things. Don't feel, you can talk about the good. Everybody feels like they can talk about the good, especially on social media, but also talk about the bad. Maybe not publicly, but at least privately, because there's so many people that are going, like something like this. I'm sure we all got different tips and different things that we can do to help ourselves. And if we didn't talk about it, then we wouldn't have gotten that. And I've noticed that a lot. As I started growing like a group of close friends and things like that there's so many other women that are dealing with a lot of the same things that I deal with, that I would just keep to myself. And I just felt like nobody could relate to me because nobody's going through this. And then I was just like, bundling up, but being able to talk about it helps me see different tips to take care of myself, different ways to handle it at home or in a relationship. And then you're just creating like a nice circle of people that you can trust and do, things with and things like that. So I think it's very important to just talk, not be afraid, because trust me, no matter how silly you are convincing yourself that your problems are, it's not silly, it's valid, and it's important to talk about it and speak up for yourself. So
yeah, that is such a powerful message. And I almost feel like even this panel talking to you ladies, for me, feels like self-care. We feel like you're like kind of getting everything out and sharing ideas, and that it's okay to have different forms of self-care and what brings you joy. So Lorena, any action items, any final words from you?
Yes. So you kind of touched on what I was going to say. Self-care, like everybody says, comes in so many different forms. Self-care could be just hanging out with your best friend. When you're stuck in a routine, in a situation where life, you wake up, you do this, especially with COVID and everything happening and being stuck at home a lot. Sometimes it could just be a matter of stepping out of the house and hanging out with your friends in their house or on the streets or wherever. But the biggest thing that I would say, or the biggest takeaway that I would hope someone gets, is that it's a mental switch. You have to be okay with doing things for yourself. And that comes with you making that decision. No matter how self-care looks like for you, it could be removing things, opening space, hanging, giving back, like everybody spoke about in the panel. It's about making the decision that is truly not selfish to do it, right? That it's a matter of creating more energy within yourself so that you can give more to others later on. It's about stepping back and letting people help you. It's about stepping back. When Nuria was saying, I agree with that. I got a personal assistant like 2 years ago, and she's been like the best thing. It's the little stuff, like help me, come up with stuff for my baby's birthday party. Like those are all things that take time. And then if I'm spending after 7 o'clock, if I'm looking for Piggy and, Kermit the Frog to come to my kid's 5th birthday party, I'm not doing what I want to do, right? So that's why it's important to take all these advices that all these wonderful ladies gave you, but it's make that switch. You are worth it. It's not a question of whether or not you're worth it. Like, is it worth it for me to do it? The answer is always going to be yes. You're worth time. You're worth peace. You're worth quiet, right? You're worth all of that. So it's take action for yourself. I'm, like I said, big proponent of scheduling time for you. Set that time. This time I'm going to do that, and just do it. Everything's going to work around you. Trust me, right? They're either going to work around you doing the dishes and cooking dinner for everybody, or they're going to work around you while you're reading a book or laying outside. So you make the decision of how people are going to circle you and what you're doing during that period of time. But you're important, and your self-care and mental health is super important. So take that time.
Definitely. Well, you guys heard it from the ladies. It's not selfish, right? You're worth it. Like maybe try to implement something in the morning so you don't run out of time, or if it's the nighttime, right? If you have a big family, so you don't run out of time. The key here is just to really try. Are you going to do it perfect every single day? Of course not, right? It's an ongoing journey of self-care to have that self-love and that inner true confidence. But maybe you try one of these ideas, just and just didn't give you the peace, right? So then try something new, try a different idea. Keep trying until you find something that gives you the result you're looking for. Pay attention to how you feel, after you take that time to attend to yourself. What do you notice in the rest of your day? Are you finding you're calmer, you're more patient with your kids, right? Are you sleeping better at night? The more we do something, the more likely it is to become a habit. And I think this is what's super important. And this is really the secret to self-care and it not being or feeling selfish, and you shouldn't have to feel guilty about it. So thank you, ladies, so much for joining me today. I love all the messages. I know that everyone watching got some incredible tidbits, and I really, really appreciate your time. Again, this was self-care for me. So check for today. I feel really great about this and appreciate each one of you. Thank you. Have a good one.